Welcome to another day of Bhagavad Gita Sadhana. I'm Atmadarshan or Laura. It's a pleasure to have you here again as we continue with an answer to a question about, did Arjuna ever fall in love with his own reflection, so to speak, like Narcissus of the ancient myths? And did that cause a rift in his relationship with Krishna? As a reminder, in the Bhagavad Gita, which can be read literally, there's also the symbolism that Arjuna represents us. He is a mortal being. And Krishna represents the divine, sometimes thought to be the divine without, but also the divine within our inner soul, or whatever you call that tiny spark. I can think of, I said yesterday, two distinct times in the Mahabharata where Arjuna did indeed fall in love with his own reflection and turn away from Krishna's help. And then yesterday, after I met with you, I thought, well, there's obviously a third incident as well. So let's review these, because since Arjuna represents us, when we see what makes him turn away from the divine or from listening to his own true self, we can understand when that might happen to us in our lives and maybe reconnect. So one of the challenges and one of the reasons Arjuna comes to look at his own reflection or rely on himself instead of rely on the great power of the universe is because of something Krishna mentions in the Bhakti Yoga section of the Bhagavad Gita, which is that it's harder for human beings as embodied beings to trust, to be devoted to something that is intangible. So, for example, almost every one of us believes in something that's omnipresent. It could be the laws of physics applying equally everywhere in our universe, our cosmos. It could be a belief in a God, a supreme consciousness, the background radiation picked up by the Hubble telescope, anything like that. That there's something out there that permeates the entire cosmos and is kind of helping, it reassures us that things are going along according to plan. However, since we can't see that, maybe we can express it in a mathematical equation or in a bhajan or in a hymn, but we can't see it and touch it. And so in our times of greatest crisis, we reach out for something we can hold on to. It's like if we're drowning. I almost drowned once. And you can go, God, God, or you can go, paddle, paddle, paddle. Ooh, a log to hold on to. Ooh, a life preserver. Ooh, a leaf, something, right? Or you can wait and go, I know in my heart that the universe is going as it should, and I'll just wait here to be saved. It's really hard when we're in crisis. So there are three times that Arjuna is in really, there are many times he's in little crises, but three really extreme crises in the Mahabharata, which is the source material of the Bhagavad Gita. And if you're ever like, where do I find more of these stories? Remember in some of my commentaries, like the Understanding the Song of Your Soul or the Embracing the Song of Your Soul big book, there are these stories and more in there. That's if you don't trust your memory and you're like, I know the universe will help me remember these when I need to. Oh, or I can have a book to hold on to, something tangible. They're there for you. So the three incidents are, in the Mahabharata war, Arjuna's son, Abhimanyu, is killed by treachery. He's killed unfairly in blatant disregard for the rules of warfare. And when Arjuna finds that out, instead of going to Krishna, his counselor, or relying on the dharma, the inherent justice of the universe, to take things, to take care of things, he decides he is going to take things into his own hands and makes this rash promise that if I don't kill the person responsible for Abhimanyu's death on the next day, I will kill myself. Well, of course, if you're a military strategist and you hear this and you're like, well, let's see, Arjun's their best warrior. All we have to do is take that guy he wants to kill and get him as far away from here as possible and hide him. Hey, problem solved, which is exactly what happened. That's what his enemies did. And Krishna rebuked Arjun and said, listen, I understand your feelings, but you have to consult me before you make these rash, impossible promises. Another incident toward the end of the Mahabharata is Krishna leaves his physical body and Arjun goes to help out those he has left behind. And in doing so, as Arjun tries to help, he realizes all his efforts are fruitless. He has lost his strength. He's lost the ability to draw his magic bow and release his mystical weapons. And he just tries harder. He tries harder with the tools he knows he has. Why doesn't my bow work? Why doesn't my mystical formula work? Why doesn't my strength work anymore? And then he finally realizes, oh, it was Krishna that gave me this strength and these abilities all along. And now that he has left this world, they're gone, and he has to trust in that. It's a great reflection for us as we age and we lose things that we thought we could rely upon, whether inside or outside. And that's just part of the world. And it's so hard because we want to cling, especially to our youth. The third big time in the Mahabharata, when Arjun kind of looks away from Krishna and to his own ego, is the Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna is saying, look, this is obviously your destiny. You're here. This is what you've wanted your whole life. Why aren't you doing it? And Arjun says, I'm afraid. I'm not sure. It doesn't look good for me. Tell me what to do, but I'm not going to listen, basically. And Krishna says, all right. But Krishna tries anyhow. And that's part of the idea is we can go, well, this can help us understand those we feel are kind of persecuting us in a way or are being unreasonable. Usually when we try to take things into our own hands too much, whether it's us or other people, it's because we feel totally at a loss. So if you feel like someone's being unfair, unjust to you and is treating you incorrectly, it's an opportunity to develop compassion. If they are acting so outside the bounds of what we would call spiritual behavior or even proper behavior, it's often because there is some great fear in them. And then we can turn that compassion on ourselves. Think of it. I know there's a time in your life you've done something you regret, right? Something you knew wasn't right. Why? Look at the root of that. See if you can extend compassion. As Krishna does to Arjun, the soul is always trying to reach back out to us. The divine, the whatever you call it, the omnipresent, the intangible is always reaching out to us. Do we accept that? Today, for your meditative practice and beyond, perhaps we're going to go to one of the most fundamental mudras of yoga, Anjali, right hand to left. From a Gita point of view, left hand is Krishna, right hand is Arjun. They meet. We often focus on this whole thing, but this mystic meeting of the two halves of us, symbolizing the two halves of the universe, the two halves of being, material and intangible meeting. Maybe we can have our attention right at that meeting point, and then the hollow in here, where I've heard one teacher, Kathy, say this is where the little soul resides, in their meeting. In their meeting, that's where our deepest self is contained. Shall we? Time for our contemplation. If you'd like, you can use this mudra to really plug into this idea that for our fullest self to express itself, we need both halves, the tangible, the intangible, the ego, and the divine. Welcome back. I'm laughing because every time we do these meditations, I've got this really good timer in my head. Like if I want to wake up at a certain time in the morning, I just tell myself to wake up at that time, and I do. So every time we do this meditation, around 4 minutes and 58 seconds, I think, what if the timer doesn't go off? And I have this panic instead of trusting that it's going to go off. And this is what we often do in our lives. We know, any of us who've studied spiritual traditions know that everything is going to a higher plan. Sometimes it's hard to trust that plan, and we cling on to our ego's plans. Note if that happens at all to you today, and can you address that with compassion? Notice if this is happening with others. Can you be compassionate? Because this, my friends, is the human condition. So dedicating today's practice to 3 wonderful humans, Donna and Nancy, great to see you yesterday, and Dagmar, wonderful to make your acquaintance. You all make my life richer. I hope I see you all tomorrow. Until then.